continuing with constructing graphs, in this example, we're going to construct a pie chart. At the beginning, it's going to feel a little bit like we're not constructing a pie chart, but we do towards the end, actually. So it says 9 students were asked, do you work after school? Use the raw data to complete the chart. Let's remind you of some vocabulary that you'll be using in Math 1342. This part here is called raw data. It's raw data because nobody has organized it. I've mentioned this before. It's like you were walking around with a white lab coat and goggles and a clipboard and you were collecting data. So we have to organize it. So we have a chart for you, and the chart is going to be helpful in creating our pie chart. The first thing, let's take a look at a lot of vocabulary. I'm going to look at, these are the answers. Obviously, right, we have yes, no if you answer the question. Then we have tally. Tally, for example, is when you do this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Not only that, but we can actually put it in a number because tallies are also kind of hard to read after you've computed the amount. So I don't want to sit here and count these each time. So I would put something like this, for example. There's 10 of these tallies. That's not the correct answer. I was giving you an example of what a tally is. What about a fraction? You know this, and a percent. Okay, so all of these fractions start with a part over a whole, and then from here we would divide, and we make sure we have the percent symbol. All right, so we know what all these things are. Now let's take a look at a little bit of above that. Frequency. Frequency is a fancy word for how often. And I need you to know this because it's used frequently. Now, relative frequency, if you notice, it's using a similar word. So you're thinking, okay, how often? But what does this part mean here? Relative frequency. The relative part tells you it's going to be in a percent. So this is a two-step process of creating the fraction and then the percent. It's very important to get familiar with your vocabulary because sometimes students try to tackle an assignment, but you don't know what the words mean. So then you're sitting there confused, and all you have to do is maybe just look it up. What does frequency mean? What does tally mean? And if you look it up, you'll be able to complete this. All right, let's get started. Raw data. So I have a yes. I'm going to come in here and I'm going to start telling. 1. Here's a no, 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 yes, no, yes, no, yes. Okay, let's double check. And I think that's correct. So I ended up with 4 here and 5 here. Great. So I have a total 9. Now, our total should be, don't cheat yourself, our total should be from these two, right? So 4 plus 5 is 9. And to check that I didn't miss data, because sometimes this is what happens, you just miss something, I come over here and make sure there was 9 as well. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. If I had counted 10, then I knew that I missed something on my tally and I should start over. So it looks correct, everything's good. Let's move on to our fractions. So remember that a fraction is a part over a whole. Our whole is 9. And the part, the people who said yes, was 4 out of 9. The people who said no, 5 out of 9. How about the total people? 9 out of 9, which we've seen before, is 1. Great. How about 4 over 9 to go to percent? Remember our process, we have tried this already several times. So we have 4 divided by 9 will give us a decimal. 2 places to the right will give us our percentage. So I see 0.444444. It does not specifically tell you what to round to, so I'm going to round to 1 decimal place. I always change it up for you guys so you get a little bit of practice. That means that the fourth is not bigger than 5 and does not make me go up. So I'm going to end up with 44.4%. How about 5/9? 5 divided by 9 is similar, 0.5555. Remember that I'm looking at the fourth 5, right? Because I'm doing this 55, and then it would look something like this, right? And then I look here, and I'm thinking, is this 5 or more? Yes, it is. So it's going to make us go up 1. So what are we at? We're at 6. 55.6. Now you might be thinking, well, what if I had decided to go to 2 decimal places? Yep, that's your choice. You get all those choices if somebody doesn't tell you what to do. What's not appropriate is just kind of rounding a lot. Let's say if I had put 40%, 50%, or 55, rounding incorrectly is incorrect, right? So you want to give yourself as much detail, but not an exaggerated amount. Our last one, what about 1? Remember, it's always 2 places, so here's the decimal, 1, 2. So we have 100%. Your percentage must always be there when you are using percent. So make sure your percentage symbols are there. Very important. Then the reader will not know you're talking about percentages. There's 3 questions for this before we get to the pie chart part. So I'm going to help you with 2, and you're going to try B on your own. It says, what percent of the students answered yes to the question? Oh, look at this table. It's so beautifully done that you already know the answer. So it says the percentage of students that answered yes was 44%. 44.4% of the students answered yes. This tells you to answer in complete sentences. Please do so. It's an important part of communicating. What fraction of the students answered no to the question? You already have that in your table, so I feel that you are capable of answering that. Try that. Part C, it says using the chart, construct a pie chart. Make sure to label your pie chart appropriately. All right, so let's try our pie chart, and we have our information from above. So the first thing I want to encourage you to do is give it a title. Whenever somebody is reading your graph, they should be aware of what data you are presenting. So we are going to title this, Do You Work After School? I think if I read that, I would understand what the data is about. Sometimes you want to give your graph a key, especially if you're going to be using different colors. So if I label this with gray, I think is what I'm going to use, and purple for the other one. Of course, you would try this neater. I'm going to do our yes in purple, and I'm going to do our no in gray. Our third thing is starting to break up the pie. So I take a look at half of the pie. Half of the pie gives me a good starting point to say this is 50%. And all I'm going to do is eyeball this. We're going to want you to have a general idea of what happens with this pie chart. Another thing that I can do, because the no is 55%, 55.6%, I want to start breaking it down. So I know, for example, this would be 25 and this would be 25. If I broke that down halfway again, then this would be 12, 12.5. And then if I broke that down even further, that would be around 6. So I feel that I am ready to label this. Of course, this was an exact 100%. If you wanted to make your pie chart exact, we would actually use a protractor, and it would make your pie chart very beautiful. Of course, here we're just eyeballing, so this is going to be our 55.6 is our no. So I'm going to color this in. Not only am I going to color it in, I'm also going to label it. It has to be very clear. What's wrong with colors sometimes? Some people can't see colors, so we label it so that everybody can read whatever we have. And this is going to be our yes. And this was 44.4. Great. I hope you're feeling confident in how to write a bar graph and a pie chart.